Hey guys, this is Frozen 2 and Stranger Things Fanboy 2004 here, and welcome back to another review. And this time I'm gonna be doing a TV show review on the latest HBO Max series, House of the Dragon. So House of the Dragon is the prequel to one of the most famous shows of all time, Game of Thrones, and stars Milly Alcock, Emma D'Arcy, Olivia Cook, and Matt Smith, and basically tells a story taking place hundreds of years after Daenerys was born. And if I'm not mistaken, Daenerys is the last of the Targaryens. I'm not sure if I got that right, but that's just what I remember from Game of Thrones. And yeah, basically, it tells the story of the Targaryen family, how they lived in the past, like how their family grew, and basically it centers around a young princess striving to become queen, Rhaenys Targaryen, and basically yeah, so there's a lot of power, politics, kings and queens, and dragons, and yeah, that's basically the best I can summarize. So if you guys want to know my thoughts on Game of Thrones, yeah, I absolutely love Game of Thrones. It's not quite in my top 10 favorite shows of all time, but I guess top 15 or top 20 maybe. I mean, I will admit, I will agree that season 8 is pretty disappointing, but honestly, I don't think season 8 is that bad. I think it's kind of overly hated now. I mean, I think the problem is that it's pretty anticlimactic, and it is really messy, but I kind of enjoy it. Like, I don't think it's that bad, but yeah, season 6 is easily the best one, and I love season 7 as well. Season 7 is underrated. I don't get the hate for season 7. But yeah, and I remember like when House of the Dragon was first promoting before the show came out. I honestly was not excited for this. Now it's not because of season 8 and how Game of Thrones ended. It's mainly because I just wasn't interested in seeing the Targaryen history, and I just couldn't care less. And even the trailer, I just didn't care for it. Like it looked like it was. I mean, I would still like see this because it was in the Game of Thrones lore, and I really wanted to watch more shows. In fact, this year I'm getting into more shows now, and yeah, I mean, House of the Dragon is still very popular, regardless of people were looking forward to this or not. It's still gonna be like really big, and after seeing House of the Dragon for myself, I gotta say, wow, I did not expect that. Yeah, House of the Dragon is a masterpiece. I know this movie has some glowing reviews. Like people were shocked of how good this was, and there, some people are even going as far as saying this is the best show of the year. Well, I will say this is easily in my top 10 favorite shows of the year, easily, but I don't think it's as good as I don't think it's the best show. It's not even in my top 5. Stranger Things season 4 will always be the best show of the year, and nothing can top it. Cobra Kai season 5 also one of the best. Yeah, this 2022 has probably been the best year for shows, easily, and yeah, this one like pretty much makes like this was probably top tier, and maybe I think this show could probably get better the more I look back into it. But yeah, I mean, I know this has a huge competition with the Lord of the Rings of Power. But the question is, which one is better? Honestly, I think they're both tied. Both this and Rings of Power are both tied in a specific spot. I think maybe like top 5. Yeah, I cannot decide which one is better. I would probably give the slightest bit of edge to Rings of Power because I'm just more of a Lord of the Rings fan than a Game of Thrones fan. But I think both shows are really good. House of the Dragon is a better made show, but Rings of Power, I think I just has a better place in me, and I think everyone knows that I'm the biggest defender of Rings of Power. I still don't get the hate for it, even thinking about it. But House of Dragon is just as good. In fact, I think this is on par with Game of Thrones. Yeah, I actually like this a bit better than Game of Thrones. The more I think about it, yeah, I mean, sure, Game of Thrones is best known for its cast. I mean, you can clearly see why. Pretty much a lot of the cast of Game of Thrones are everywhere. Like almost every blockbuster I see has a Game of Thrones cast. But honestly, I actually would go back to this show more. Yeah, I mean on. It's I would I mean the show like gets better and better the more I think about it, and I really cannot stop thinking about it. Game of Thrones is an amazing show, but as of now, I think this one I give this one the edge because if I were to choose which one I go back to, Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, I would say this one I go back to more now. Yeah, if people ask me which I like better, this or Game of Thrones, I'll say both. But if it's a pick one, I'll say House of the Dragon. So yeah, I'll give it some more thoughts. Maybe this would actually really be a better than Game of Thrones. I would probably watch this again in the future. But yeah, now let's talk about why I love House of the Dragon. Yeah, first and foremost, first and foremost, Daenerys Targaryen is my favorite Game of Thrones character. And who knew that a prequel show about her family would actually be like twice as interesting as the plot of Game of Thrones is? And man, this was a very interesting show. I think the plot is super interesting. I really love how they dive deep into the Targaryen myth and the lore surrounding it. I feel so invested in it. And and yeah, this story it's probably one of the best written shows this year, and I just love the way that they capture politics, power, and pride, and stuff inside this franchise, inside this show. And I mean, I know a lot of the show is just meetings and discussions, but I think I was never bored throughout. I think this show perfectly captures discussions in a way that doesn't bore you. In fact, that keeps you invested in the story, and that's my basis so good. And I think the performances is also another part of why I love this show. Yeah, Matt Smith. I get why Matt Smith is the fan favorite. I mean, before going into this, Matt Smith and Olivia Cook were the only characters cast members I knew going to this. Maybe Emma DRC was. She sounded familiar, but I couldn't really remember where I saw her in. But yeah, the cast is actually what worried me the most because Game of Thrones had all of the all star cast. I mean, you got Emilia Clarke, you got Peter Dinklage, you got Kit Harington, you got Pierre, Richard Madden, you got Macy Williams, Sophie Turner, and you got so much, and they're literally everywhere now. I know Emilia Clarke is everywhere. Peter Dinklage is everywhere. Richard Madden, Kit Harington. You see them like somewhere and a big blockbuster, and you'd be like, oh, that's the guy from Game of Thrones. I wish that happens with Stranger Things. Yeah, I wish that happened with Stranger Things as well. That they'd yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean by that. Um, and yeah, so but I think this one yeah, I mean this made me know a lot more about some of the actors, specifically Milly Alcock as the lead character who was the standout for me. Yeah, Milly Alcock is freaking hot, let me tell you, and I hope that she plays Gwen Stacy in the MCU. I think she'd be a perfect Gwen Stacy. I know it's recently confirmed recently that Gwen Stacy is not going to be the new Spider-Man love interest in the new MCU Spider-Man trilogy, but there's always hope that Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man could be in it, and we'd see Milly Alcock as a Spider-Gwen. Maybe she can get her own MCU series, maybe, or Sony can make something out of her outside of the MCU. Who knows? But I hope I see more Milly Alcock. And yeah, her character Rhaenyra Targaryen has now dethroned the Daenerys as my new favorite Game of Thrones character ever. Yeah, she perfectly carries the leading role. She's just yeah, amazing. And I absolutely love her character arc. I also love MIDRC's portrayal of the character as the older Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra, and I love how both Milly Alcock and MIDRC are able to like share equal parts of the role. Like Milly Alcock takes like the first 5 episodes of the show, and then Emma DRC takes the last 5 episodes of the show. I I actually prefer Milly Alcock. 'Cause I think she just did a gave a better performance. But if you think Emma De Arce is better, I can get it. I also love Olivia Cook's character, Alison Hightower. I love her. Yeah, I love it. Olivia Cook. Yeah, I think she's known as playing the lead female character in Ready or Not, Artemis, who was my favorite character in that movie, and she also was in the highly underrated Thoroughbreds, where she teamed up with Anya Taylor-Joy. Which, by the way, wouldn't it be cool if we get Anya Taylor-Joy as a Targaryen in a future House of the Dragon episode? I mean season. That would be cool. Yeah, and but yeah, Olivia Cook was probably a close second, my second favorite character in this show, and yeah, I absolutely love her, and I love that this show makes us think of what is going to happen to her, but turns out it's not true. Like for example, we thought that Alison was going to turn into a villain, but turns out she's not a villain. I mean, I think it would have been interesting to see Olivia Cook take on the villain role, but like her character isn't really the villain that we'd expect to see, and I can totally be fine with that. Matt Smith is the fan favorite character in this as the real villain in this show. Daemon Targaryen, and I love yeah. He actually embodies Daenerys Targaryen, like being like how she became the villain in the finale. Daemon actually embodies that, and Matt Smith gives an Emmy worthy performance. Yeah, actually, I think I would like to see him and Milly Alcock get nominated for an Emmy. If I know Matt Smith will, I'm full confident. But if Milly Alcock doesn't get nominated, then screw the Emmys. Literally the same award the show that does the Say Sing from Stranger Things. And yeah, I just yeah, I think Damon is such an it's pretty much the best Game of Thrones villain. Even though I prefer Daenerys, and I know Daenerys became a villain in the end, I think as a villain, Matt Smith said Daemon is the best Game of Thrones villain. I don't. Yeah, so I consider Game of Thrones because like this is still part of the Game of Thrones canon. So even if it's called House of the Dragon, it's still. I mean, these characters are still technically Game of Thrones characters because they belong in this world. Yeah, Matt Smith, yeah, they're just really doing a good job of like making him a villain, making us actually care about him and really hate him. Yeah, he's a very hateable character, but you know your great your villain is really good when you hate them because you're supposed to hate a villain. I wish the villain community would understand that more. Yeah, Matt and yeah, what else is there? Now let's talk about some of my favorite episodes. Yeah, my favorite episode would actually have to be episode one. I think I actually prefer the earlier episodes than the later episodes, and I don't think this has ever happened before in the show, or I just can't remember. But it's rare that episode one would be my favorite. How do, usually the episode one is like the weakest episode, but episode one is probably my favorite. Now I did say that the finale is my favorite when I saw it earlier this morning. And I still love the finale, but looking back at it, like I had to like rethink about it before making this review. I think episode one is my favorite because it really does a perfect job of introducing this world of new Targaryens and a new generation of characters without relying on the Game of Thrones nostalgia, and at the same time it recaptures what we love about Game of Thrones. Yeah, episode one is the goriest episode of the whole season, which is why episode one is my favorite. Yeah, it literally has the same amount of gore as Game of Thrones had. And that's I love gore. I love gore. I can handle gore. I know there are some people who can't handle gore well, but they're just a bunch of pussies. Like what Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai said. Yeah, what a bunch of pussies. I actually really like gore. I don't know. I just really enjoy them. But yeah. And I also adore episode two. Episode two was when Matt Smith becomes a villain and confronts Milly Alcock's character. Episode two is probably a close second. And yeah, the finale is it comes to number three. Yeah, if I were to rank them, I would say Episode 1 is the best. Episode 2, episode 10, episode 7, which is what I consider to be a lot of people's favorite episodes. Episode 7 is number 4. Episode 3 is probably number 5. Episode 6 is episode 4. Episode 7 is episode 5, the final episode for Milly Alcock's. And episode 8 is episode. Yeah, number 8 is episode 8. I do think episode 8 is a little overrated. I know people say it's the most people say it's their favorite episode of the show. I don't think it is one of my favorites, but I still think it's a great episode. Episode 6 is number 9, and the episode number 9 is episode 6. My bad, but and episode 9 is the weakest episode for me. I know episode. Yeah, I mean, I really like episode 9, don't get me wrong, but I think the reason why it's the weakest now, this leads you to a few nitpicks with the show. My one nitpick, negative with the show, and that is Prince Aegon, like King Aegon, should I say. Honestly, I don't like him in this show. I think he's still the worst Game of Thrones character yet. Yeah, and the worst character in the show as well. Yeah, he's just not my type. He's just a terrible, like a poor character. Now, I would say he's a terrible character. That's a strong word, but I'd say he's a pretty weak character. And so like when he became Crown King in episode 9, it just felt so underserved. And even his acting he looks really bored. And yeah, it's not really a bit much big of a flaw. I mean, I don't hate him. I'm just not really a fan of his character. That's all. But yeah, but okay, yeah, that's all for me. Yeah, hopefully I see more of Milly Alcock in season 2. Yeah, yeah. I know I feel like Milly Alcock might not return, but maybe they could still give flashbacks to her character, like we could see some flashbacks to her younger self, but it's more gonna be focused on Emma D'Arcy's irritation, and probably and if Milly Alcock doesn't appear in season 2, probably Olivia Cook's character Alicent would become my favorite House of the Dragon character in next season. So overall, House of the Dragon is such a surprise. I did not expect this show to be a masterpiece. Yeah, and this is probably the most surprising piece of media ever. Like, I have never been more surprised than anything else other than House of the Dragon. Yeah, I actually think it's a little better than Game of Thrones now. Yeah, I just love this more. This show feels more personal to me than Game of Thrones was, and yeah. So with that said, I'm gonna give House of the Dragon a 10 out of 10. One of the best shows of the year so far. So yeah, and also like, I think non Game of Thrones fans will like this. I know Nick Hicks hates Game of Thrones, but I think Nick Hicks 2001 would actually enjoy this. I think he should give this a chance, and maybe he'll like this. So yeah, so that's all for my review of the House of the Dragon. What's your opinion on House of the Dragon? Do you agree with me that it's slightly better than Game of Thrones, or do you prefer Game of Thrones? And question to y'all, which show is better, House of the Dragon or Rings of Power? For me, like what I said, they're both tied, but I'd give a bit of the edge to Rings of Power. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for maybe, I mean just maybe, my trailer reaction for my trailer reaction to Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. Like, there were like a lot of speculations that there would be a new trailer coming tonight or tomorrow, like today and US time. I know, like, it's not really confirmed, like they I don't think they'll say if it's confirmed, but just letting you guys know, there could be an Ant-Man the Wasp trailer coming your way, like, sooner than you think, and it might be today. So, and if it does, yeah, that trailer reaction is my next video. Otherwise, maybe more Halloween content or Bond content, so if there's no trailer. So yeah, bye guys.